the sense sphere. You must listen to our demands.
Hello. Good to see you all again. Well, I'm dying to do this one. Because we had to record last night because of the England match. You know, things happen. But it's good to have you on because we've got a lot to talk about. And let's get going. So, few weeks after the fresh new series of Doctor Who broadcast, and I find myself thinking, when was the last time I watched Doctor Who? Do you get that feeling? Like you've been starved of new Doctor Who, yet it has just been on the TV. Never have I felt so disenchanted and apathetic to my own show. Am I alone in this? It feels like it has been a long slog to get through the Chibnall era, and now a long slog waiting for the specials, and then a long slog to season one. Then you think, have I actually seen any new Who? Well, maybe this is what the Doctor Who Detox Hour is all about. We look at the latest news around the programme, have a regular catch-up with the Whovians down under and across the pond, giving you a voice to share and your take on how things are panning out. Today, we will look at the actual character of the 15th Doctor. I mean, if you saw our midweek show, and I'll give you a taster in a few minutes' time last night with our Warriors of the Deep focus, I now cheekily ask, and I'll do it with all Classic Who now, what would the shooty Doctor do? Because I just think the contrast is just classic. But is he really even a recognisable Doctor? That's what we're going to be talking about. Unit is part of RTD's master plan, he says. We'll look at what he said. And only a week after RTD said he does not care if he breaks canon or changes canon, we look at the messing on with the show's history with the inclusion of the Shalka Doctor in the scan in Rogue. Just what is this man doing? He's like a disruptor, a wrecking ball, a disrespect of the show's history, which is amazing for a self-acclaimed fan. And in the build-up to our mini-series on politics in Doctor Who, starting with a focus on Malcolm Hulke with his biographer, we ask, where would you draw the line with politics? Remember to get in touch by the usual platforms. I'll just line that up now just so you can see. Yep, there's our contact details. That's how you can find us. Please do. Loads of people I can see Divine and Dragon and various others who have written to me. Please keep that going. So get in touch if you want to be on the panel. Join us. Me and Cyber Matt Strikes are quite happy to have other people on this, especially with an American or an Australian voice. The email really does work, so please join us on that one. And of course, as we go in, remember our Sunday show, How Do You Salvage Doctor Who? That went down a storm, and Divine and Dragon was one of those. Wait till the end. You get pages of detail on how you can retcon the lot. If you still don't think that's worth giving us a sub and you want to see if I can sweat it out and get more, I mean, I'm begging, mate. Come on. Okay, well, we did a show last night. What about that one? Take a look. Best battles in Doctor Who. Warriors of the Deep. I like to pick those that aren't the ones that we all eulogize about. So, of course, have a look at that one. And it's interesting. What would you say is your favorite battle sequence in Doctor Who? Because it was never big budget. So, you know, I'll tell you mine today. And I'll ask Cybermat Strikes and I'll ask you all. So let's get Cybermat Strikes on. Yeah. Hello.
Hey, Brendan. Hey, chat. I'm ready to kick off.
Yeah, we're ready to kick off with detox. That's the language.
Detoxing.
Yes. Well, let's start you detoxing. Let's have a look. Now, this item, I think, is going to be a winner. I think everybody should beam in on this. So We asked in our program last night, what would Ncuti's doctor do in various circumstances? So I'm going to ask you, Cybermat, and I'll ask those in the thread just in case. Now, in this bit, it's the end of Warriors of the Deep, right? And of course, everybody's been massacred and there's death everywhere. It's very like John Pertwee's moment at the end of the Silurians. So, what do you think, Cybermat Strikes, in that same situation? What do you think the Ncuti doctor would do when he's seen all this massacre?
You mean other than cry?
Well, you've hit the... He could cry. He could cry. He's allowed to cry, I suppose. I mean,
well, yeah, I suppose everyone's dead, isn't it? So it's something to cry about, I guess.
Well, we've got Sean review itself saying cry, TARDIS Spider, Terry saying cry. Do you know what I reckon? So if I show you the shot again, I actually think it would be he would shout. But like he did at the end of Dot and Bubble, he would shout and all the froth and venom and slaver would all come out and he'd just do that shouty, I'm angry.
And just be like, ah!
Yeah. What about this one then, just to get us going? So this is the one when the guard has been knocked out and the Peter Davison Fifth Doctor checks his pulse and checks he's alive and then goes, oh, you'll live. And then he takes his gear, leaves the undergarments and then says it's a smelly hood, isn't it, or something, and then goes off.
Yeah.
What would the Ncuti Doctor do in the same scene, do you reckon?
In Nicky's clothes.
I think he'd nick more than that as well. I mean, what does the thread reckon? Are we going to take the risk? I mean, I would moot that actually the 15th Doctor would be very emotional, going, "Oh, it's a man, and he's got a pulse." Oh my god! Oh my god! And I think there'd be less items on his a person. I have to say,
he'd crack onto him.
Well, he's cracked onto dead father hologram in Boom, so he's up for it, isn't he?
Oh, it's not funny, is it, Brendan? I mean, everyone's saying the same thing in the chat too.
You have to laugh. If you don't laugh, you'll cry, and then you'll be like Ncuti.
Who thought this season was going to be like this?
In Warriors of the Deep, he'd do nothing different, says Sadako. Davison in that story is just as hopeless and preachy as Georgie or Ncuti. Thanks, because you wrote a YouTube comment. I saw it, Sadako. We could have a debate about that. I know where you're coming from. I still would debate. Davison, look at this. He does get angry, and he has range. He certainly has range. He does subtlety much better than you know who. Steve would say he would sulk until his companion talked him round. Yeah, he might go in the corner, have corner time. Lee, Anthony Davis, Gatwa does not have the range to play this Doctor. Sadako seems to be saying Davison doesn't in this one. Let's have an argument, go away. TARDIS Spider says Davison will get so distant in these moments. And breathless. I mean, breathless. David Tennant copied that, the breathless Doctor. Divine and Dragon says he would shout, but there would be no agency, no heroic action on his part. Some interesting ones here. Major's Guild, to be fair, he probably would have had his brain cooked, unlike David. Well, yeah, it was a bit of a tester. Good to see Doug Sims. Give him a kiss. Well, yeah, I think we're on to the bloke one now, aren't we? And then Archibald Lazarus, he's a man with a pulse. It's not safe. I know. If he fancies a hologram, we have got no chance. Paul Bowler, Gatwa's Doctor would probably have had a dance routine with. He could have those corridors are really long. He could have moonwalked right down, I reckon. Let's have a look. JC Marshall, hi, both of us. Warriors of the Deep was the fourth story I watched on transmission. An okay script and execution. Yes, and the karate kick is mentioned a lot in our stream. If you haven't seen it, I do have a look. I
must admit, you've convinced me to dig it out and have a rewatch after the show today.
I think Doctor Who fans, just like any other fans, look, when Doctor Who is on it, of course, that's why you'd love Doctor Who. But when Doctor Who is hit and miss, I remember the budget's different. I mean, I could ask another question. What would Warriors of the Deep look like with the budget they've got now? Yeah. And the Merca would probably be not an issue. The lighting wouldn't be an issue. The Sea Devils and the Silurians wouldn't be an issue. Now we've just got to get down to, is the Doctor the issue? And, you know,
It's interesting. I was listening to the show today, and like, there's a lot of points where I go, I agree with a lot of the suggestions. Like everyone, you know, if they'd lowered the lighting, it would have made a big difference. I think to how the whole thing feels. It's just too overlit, isn't it?
yeah. And yet the Silurian battlecruiser wasn't. So they can do it if they want to. Okay, then, Thread, we're going to start debating detoxing. There's a lot of articles to talk about. You know, does RTD ever shut up? Does he ever? Oh, by the way, have you spotted our lovely Sutek is still there. Sutek is on the TARDIS. I have a poo bag below just in case. We don't want any time turds down the vortex. So yes, he's there. Your favorite thing, Cybermat Strikes? He loves the puppets, really.
I love
He's in
the
denial.
puppets. Yes.
So last
I
week,
might have a surprise coming in the next few weeks regarding puppets, but I won't mention anything further.
okay, doc. Well, let me just show you. I'm fiddling around here. Right, last week we talked about RTD said I would do it again. I would wreck canon and all the rest of it. So again, he's been talking again. Now, other streams may have discussed this, and why wouldn't they? But we want to bring this together to add to quite a lot of things about the 15th Doctor today's too. But here we go. Doctor Who boss opens up about that surprising Richard E. Grant cameo that made an obscure Doctor Who canon. Yeah, obscure is a cartoon. When you saw this, Cybermat, what were you thinking?
Look, I mean, when I saw him, I saw him turn up, I felt like this was just one of those things that was done deliberately to poke the fans, because I knew there'd be people kicking off over it. I didn't take it too seriously myself. I mean, if they want to canonize the Shalka Doctor, fair enough. I actually liked Richard E. Grant Shalka Doctor, and the point about when they announced bringing the series back, I thought, you know, look, I mean, the bar seems pretty low now of what it takes to get in the show, doesn't it? It just needs to be a bit of an in-joke for Russell to include it, doesn't it?
Well, since you're mentioning that, and I'll just get the right things up here. Let's have a look. I mean, he goes on, of course. Fans were shocked because it had obviously been previously seen as not canon. And he was the 9th Doctor. And then Chris Eccleston's the 9th Doctor, which he references as well, which is really crazy. But what do you make to this? This is what irritates me. I try not to buy into this Fitzroy Tavern stuff, but I have to say, maybe I'm in denial, because this is him talking to the SFX magazine out on July the 10th. So it's just come out. Davies opened up about the exciting cameo, revealing that it was partly included as a thank you to the animated show's writer, Paul Cornell.
Yeah.
And, you know, and he texted him, please watch tomorrow because there's such a treat in store. And he said, it's really nice when you can do things like that. A really nice moment. We're friends. Excuse me. This is supposed to be an absolutely mega science fiction franchise beaming around the world. And it's got the time. He's got the time. Remember, he didn't sort out the Sutek plot holes, but he's got time to phone his friend and say, I've got a bit of a scene for you. We did it last minute. Is this all the lovey stuff where it's all kind of, I just want to be loved because I'm doing nice things? And then you think, well, actually, are there logical things? Does it make sense? Does it help Doctor Who?
Yeah, look, I think when you hear him talk about it, sometimes I'm not sure if it is, you know, it is just the love of, you know, having all this stuff included, or whether or not he's trying to upset people, or look, I like to think the best of people, and at the end of the day, I do think. I remember back in 2003, I think it was, when Scream the Shalka, because back then the BBC were advertising that web series as the new canonical Doctor Who before they even announced the new show, and they started running that that series as though it was, a replacement for Doctor Who, and then all of a sudden the new series seemed to come out of nowhere, and they announced that it was happening, and that and it really did sort of steal the thunder and the legitimacy of the series at that point. And then I remember them explicitly having an article at the time where they said that Paul McGann's would be canonized and that it would continue on from the classic series, but the ninth Doctor, Shalka Doctor, wouldn't be included. So if that is a genuine sort of, Russell just trying to give a nod to, legitimize some, I mean, Richard E. Grant's obviously been a friend of the show for a long time. I mean, he did the Great Intelligence and everything. So he's, and Curse of the Fatal Death. So, I'm not particular. I mean, to me, it's better than Morbius Doctors.
The trouble is, we've got somebody, it seems to me, I have to say, RTD is the real toy maker. He's the kid in the toy shop, and he's playing with all the Doctor Who toys from 61 years, whether it makes sense or not. Now, Divine and Dragon here says the Shalka Doctor was an in-joke for his RTD to thumb his nose at Eccleston and the fans. You see, as you know, my thumbnail and advert for this program said, is RTD baiting the fans? Because he knows that this is problematic. Crimpling de Bloom makes a good point. Could Russell please give a thank you to all the fans who have stuck with the show this far by just concentrating on writing good Doctor Who? Isn't it ego to just say, I want to just look good in front of all my friends? I'm not convinced by all this, Yeah, he's a nod to you and he's a this, that, and the other. RTD definitely loves nothing more than to push fan buttons. He's doing it. We've been doing it for decades. It's obnoxious, says Sadako.
Yeah, especially with his articles lately, where he's made a big thing about how, how carefully curated his choice of words and scripting and all this sort of stuff is, and his rhythm. And then you sit there and go and you hear him talk about his plot points, and they come, a lot of it, admittedly, when you listen to him in the audio commentaries, you think, oh, these are just like brain farts that come out, and no one challenges him.
But he's not. But as you're saying about the plot holes and not caring, he continues in this article. It was lovely, a little bit of payment there because he created the ninth Doctor with the Shalka, and we completely replaced him with Eccleston. And then he says, "So how nice after all these years to take a little lean back and sort of say the door's open now, thanks to the Timeless Child." And now suddenly the Timeless Child, which a lot of us are so irritated by. You can see how the Timeless Child has been weaponized in Doctor Who writing. You see, he's saying that's a new time window. That's our new porthole to actually do what the hell we want. And that's why you could say a lot of us fans are saying, you need to get rid of it, mate, because you are using it as an excuse. So he's using it as his gateway into wrecking Doctor Who. It's a gaping hole. It's an open wound. I think it's a declaration of war now. I have to say, RTD is declaring war on us by saying stuff. Look at it. The door's open now. Oh, please speak because I'm going to kick off in a minute.
So basically, because we've had someone that was sloppy with canon and wasn't respectful of it, basically it gives us license to do whatever the hell we want. That's his argument.
Because he's a friend. Because
no point being disciplined or having a tight canon moving forward. Let's just let it rip, and it'll be whatever it'll be. We can do anything now. Well, to be honest, Brendan, I've actually this season's made me feel I think I've come out the other end feeling absolutely nothing either way. For this era, to the point where it's kind of taken the heat out of it for me because I'm just so over it. And I think everyone the Emperor has no clothes this season. Everyone realizes that actually there's nothing here. He can use all the hyperbole he wants for season 2. No one is going to take him seriously from here on in. He has destroyed his own legacy.
Major's Guild here. RTD has never been a serious person. This rubbish is precisely what you expected of him. Divine and Dragon. It is possible. RTD is all about trying to promote himself now. Lots of people are wondering if he's trying to get into the Disney franchise, hierarchy. Crimpline plays with my analogy, and maybe you're right. Russell is not the toy maker; he's the toy destroyer, playing with our toys and handing them back broken. Yes, he's that kid when when you took your games to school, and sometimes you took the wrong game and somebody broke it, and you come home and the game is no longer yours. Really, it's been wrecked by some
texture text with black outline texture on all your toys, and
if
if
Doctor Who survives RTD, and to be honest, there's spits in some of his quotes which sounds as though he's going to be for 10 years if he could. So now the door is open. The Shalka Doctor, he won't say whether he will return or not. In fact, Davies highlights that it was a bit of fun, and he says, we talked about that many times with the two co-writers. The two co-writers, can I just make this very clear? The co-writers, Kate and Brioni, who have never written Doctor Who or sci-fi before. Let's just plant that there. Two people who have never written for Doctor Who or sci-fi had an idea they wanted to show an unknown Doctor in that scan. We've had enough Doctors. We've had enough of that. We've had the Fugitive, the War Doctor. We've had various semblances. And as soon as the Fugitive Doctor's been created, they're saying, that's between Troughton and Pertwee. And a lot of us are going, excuse me. As soon as they find a gap, they make it go wide open and they get their ego right in there. So these two people who clearly have never written for Doctor Who, maybe don't even know the Doctor Who history, said, We'd really like to have an unknown Doctor in our scan of the Doctor in Rogue. Why? A good showrunner would say it's irrelevant. We don't need that. It doesn't help the story. Why are we going for little in-jokes and nonsenses? Just get on with the plot and make it decent.
I totally agree. I think, and I think people are agreeing in the chat. It doesn't add anything to it, and I'm just surprised. I really am. I had a lot higher view of his writing style, and I think you've mentioned it before. I know I have the RTD in the writer's tale. It's not the RTD of today. That's for sure.
Something's happened now. So I'll just keep up with the thread because I'm making this show for the thread, especially for those out there in Australia and America. I apologize. Yesterday we had to do a recorded show because of the England match show. I do like to get the feedback here. David Harding, I don't mind the idea that RTD included the Shalka Doctor as a joke. Romana blowing. Yes, you're right, David. But
David, I don't. That Romana thing at the beginning of Destiny, I don't see that as blowing through multiple regenerations. Isn't that like where you've just got that wiggle room at the beginning where you can sort of manipulate what your regeneration looks like?
The thing is, we never thought that until, in a way, was it the Christmas invasion when suddenly he could grow his arm back because he had the first 15 minutes or something of a regeneration. RTD had made up hocus pocus magic nonsense again. Tell the John Pertwee Doctor. Honestly, maybe with the Troughton Doctor, in the War Games, they were saying, do you want this face, this face, this face? Maybe there was a little bit of that in Destiny. But no, it's a fair point, David, because, the thing about debating is we have to say, well, if that exception is a problem, there's other ones too. Sadako's basically out of it, I know. I just find myself no longer caring about any of the New Who era anymore. It all just seems like fan fiction. Divine and Dragon, Thomas Covenant, the only way to hurt the man who lost everything, give him back something broken. Yeah. You're loving this analogy. Maybe I've said it too well. Cybermat Strikes hits the nail on the head. Have you been carpenting here? The apathy is the biggest emotion now. Yeah. I mentioned that in Sean in my preface as well. I feel apathetic. I've never felt like this with Doctor Who, ever.
I think I like review it yourself's comment. I feel like Cybermat came here to rant, but the more he thinks about it, he just can't be asked to even rant. He's just over it. I'm the same. But it's funny. I don't actually really want to rant. I just wish the whole damn thing was good. That's what I really want. I mean, I must admit, it's been really interesting if you pay attention to Twitter and other streams, the people that have, been just so on board no matter what happens with the last, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
You can really see that even they're sitting there going, oh, they don't want to criticize it, but at the same time they've realized that, we've gone down a cul-de-sac here.
It's like when you're in there's so many levels of grief, and it's the same with losing, being a fan and losing your belief. And I think what's happening here is they're on the first step of losing their belief. Some of us are a bit more down the cynical road. John Yulden, RTD is emboldened. I mean, I know Sean in the thread. I don't know about you, Cybermat. They're heavily into the Star Trek stuff as well. So they know their stuff. RTD is emboldened Star Trek Discovery and Disney Star Wars model, create low quality content, attack viewers who critique the poor writing.
John's right there though. Like RTD has said a lot about what he's based, like he's obviously into it all. Whereas a lot of us weren't that enamored with Star Trek Discovery. He's loved it all. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, it shows actually. You can really see all those influences that he's put into the show, and you're just thinking, oh my God, he's actually been influenced by stuff that's crap.
Yeah. Well, I'll just finish this article off. The bad news will keep running and running, but it is a detox. This is the whole point. It's our detox. We'll own this by saying it our way. Davies says that the actor was very excited. This is obviously Richard E. Grant. It was a last-minute call. So it was a bit of fun. It was a thank you to Paul Cornell, and it was a last-minute addition. This tells you that this isn't a series that gets planned in detail. Very last minute, he says, because we weren't sure whether to do it or not. So then why bother? This is, when we talk about people who do virtue signaling and stuff like that, this is RTD saying, aren't I a nice man? And yeah, let's spend a bit more money just getting Richard E. Grant to do a photo shoot and just stick him in a scan that doesn't really matter. Honestly, this is the level of detail he does now. He obsesses with the superficial details and the look and the vibe of how he comes across, and not the details of the narrative, which is what all Doctor Who fans are bothered about.
Well, if he paid Paul Cornell, if he was thinking about Paul Cornell, how about you just think about him as, maybe we need to get some good writing from Paul Cornell, because he can actually write a good Doctor Who.
Yeah. And I was at Dwas about 2 months ago, and he was actually given an award by Dwas there, and he got quite upset and emotional. And yeah, I'd love to see him back. So there you go. It was for fun. It was a joke. It was to make him look nice. He's using the franchise so he can look nice to people, instead of getting them a Christmas present or sending them a card or actually getting something out of his back pocket and paying with it. He actually gets the franchise to pay for it. This is the level of it. I tell you what, he doesn't use Moonpig. He just uses Doctor Who to actually say thank you to everybody. My God.
You know what though, Brendan, if after this season and based on how things have gone down, if Russell was saying, hey guys, tune in, I've paid tribute to you, or had a nod, you'd have to be a bit nervous that it'd be something that would cause backlash for you now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just be, oh, please don't do that, Russell. I don't want to be.
And by him saying stuff like this, it actually, like I said, I've tried to deny this Fitzroy Tavern thing that fans talk about. But actually, as Lee Anthony Davis is saying, why do you think Moffat and Chibnall got the showrunner job? Because they're part of the circle. They were deliberately there to add the shoehorning in to normalize so Davis can reckon. The thing is, they've all had a go. RTD will protect what they've done. He's already got Moffat back, who's all right as a writer, I have to say. He's had some blooming good hits.
Moffat was a good showrunner, and he's probably one of the few that's delivered the most consistent quality. I mean,
yeah,
I like Stephen Moffat more than he's had stinkers.
He has a sharp brain. You can see, he carried off the Day of the Doctor. I really don't know how he managed that. I give him due credit. So let's move on to our next topic. I mean, the good news keeps rolling in, Cybermat.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, my detox was thinking, right, it's over. Let's just calm down and look at some classics. No, no, no. Right, here we go. This is on the 3rd of July. Ncuti Gatwa's true role in Doctor Who season 14 is an unwelcome surprise. Now, just to give a praise to everybody, I'm going to show you some of the slides because it's one of those articles where where the media doesn't know where it stands. 1 minute it's praising RTD for being genius, and then it's saying, but maybe you've got it wrong. But it kind of puts it all together. Editorially, it's all over the place. But this is the point. People don't really want to criticize RTD. So they end up saying great stuff. But then within each line, you're going, but you're criticizing. So anyway, I'll start it off and see what everybody thinks. Ncuti Gatwa's role in the first full season of Doctor Who has taken a strange turn, with his version of the Doctor being much less of a focal point when compared to his predecessors. Tell me about it. Although he should be the leader of the cast, he's been conspicuously absent. And of course, it's going to talk about 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble. And as you can see, it raises certain questions about whether casting him as the Doctor was the best option. Now, as I go through these, Cybermat, let's just feedback as we go, because my take on that is, you've got an 8-episode series, and for 25% of them, you cannot access your lead character. Were there no other actors who were very available, very in the need of the money, and maybe as equally talented, but just not Ncuti? I mean, did they have, all eggs in one basket? Remember, he was panicking, RTD, saying, I feared that James Bond franchise might grab Ncuti, and so we had to get him in and get him in fast. They couldn't move their scheduling, planning and production details. Gosh.
Wow. I can't. Yeah, I just can't believe that they were that desperate to have him in there. They clearly thought they were going to transplant some sex education popularity into the show, and yeah, I don't know why they thought that was going to happen.
Well, it was high risk, and the article goes into this, Sean, review it yourself. Those episodes with Gatwa absent were the best ones. And this is where the article makes a few kind of complaints as well. So I'll carry on and see what Sidemat thinks and what you'd think in the thread. Thankfully, the franchise has an established framework that can account for a Doctor Who story not revolving around its star. Excuse me. It has only been established since RTD 1. I'm sorry, but this was never established. William Hartnell might go on holiday for an episode. That's different because they were doing nearly all year recording.
52 weeks of the year bloody recording.
Yeah, this is just, I mean, I know nowadays it takes longer to do a blooming episode. However, I'm sorry, but you see, I'm doing red highlighter because I'm not happy with what's been said. The franchise has an established framework that can account for a Doctor's story not revolving around its star. No, it doesn't. We had Blink. We had Love and Monsters. We had Turn Left. But
not 2/3 of the season. I mean, he's basically out for 2/3 of an eight series story. That I can't. The thing that blows me away is they acting like this was all put together in 5 minutes. The reality is it's taken 2 years to get this to screen from beginning to end. And I mean, but the stories feel like they were written in about a week. And let's face it, you look at all of Robert Holmes's stories that he wrote with long weekends and sitting with Douglas Adams, sitting with Graham Williams, and like these guys wrote far better stories in a weekend than he had, and I just can't believe that he didn't have the time to do a really good job.
Well, let's just test out Cybermat Strikes and the thread. Let's just test this out, the logic, right? Let me just get myself. He said, RTD, that Ncuti is so good we can't afford to lose him. So let's start filming so we lose him from our show instead. I mean, think about it. We can't afford to lose him, but we'll go ahead with the filming where we have to lose him. Where is the blooming logic in this?
I haven't seen anything on screen that would mean that fits that definition.
Well, because you're an Australian and I used to live in Australia, I was about to say, as Pauline Hanson would say, please explain. Please explain. I do not understand. Um, oh God, and it goes on. I'm here to bring cheer to Detox. Doctor Who season 14 having 2 Doctor Who Light episodes in a row is unprecedented. This article is getting shirty in only one respect, because they've done 2 Doctor Who Light episodes. That's it. But my issue is, and I think a lot of fans, it's more fundamental than that. Why did you start scheduling when you did? Why did you cast this person when, look, come on, one actor and one other actor might be neck and neck. And if one's unavailable, it's unfortunate, but you don't get the job. Isn't that how life works? Sean, in Review It Yourself, he always, well, I'm glad I'm doing the version you like, which is the sassy and miffed version. Being teacher, excuse me. I know, I can't help it. It's in my training, Sean. It's in my training. So let's take a look here. So they talk about 73 yards and Dot and Bubble. Doctor Who has long made use of the Doctor Who Light format for various reasons. Now, the only reason they've ever done this since RTD's first time is for scheduling reasons. And his argument is, in a 14-episode season, we can only make, get it right way around. We've got enough time to make 13 episodes, but we're making 14. So what you do is you have a companion light episode as they're filming the Doctor Who Light episode, and that's what they did with Turn Left and all these. It was all to do with scheduling and to squeeze one more episode out of the series. But this is different. You could have picked another actor.
Yeah, they clearly wanted him no matter what. But just like, there's no justification for why you have Doctor missing for 2/3 of the series. It's bizarre.
Well, let me just keep up with things. A good boy. Hello. There was absolutely no problem with Doctor Who Light episodes as long as they are actually well-written episodes. I agree with you. And Blink, you see, I think they got away with it with Blink, didn't they? Blink was such a good drama. Now, notice what I'm saying, folks. I'm not necessarily saying it's a good Doctor Who. I'm saying it was really good drama, and it was cleverly done by a clever writer. Now, it's quite clear that RTD, who copies a lot, thought, I'm going to do my version of Blink, and it'll be called Dot and Bubble, because it's the same style in the way that David Tennant's Doctor's on that TV screen, one in Blink, and it's the same really in Dot and Bubble. But we've got to remember, right next to Ncuti was his companion, and he was equalized. He was never the Doctor. He was just another person adding help. The thing is, though, and I will say to good boy, and we can debate this, I actually personally think this is one of the weak links in Doctor Who now, that if you have a good Doctor Who Light episode, suddenly everybody goes, let's do more of them. It becomes an ego trip for the writer to say, do you know what? I've written Doctor Who. I've also written very especially for one companion, and I've also done this. And it's just making their CV look better, but it's got nothing to do with making Doctor Who, with the lead actor, the Doctor, quality.
Well, the Blink isn't a good episode because it's Doctor Light. It's actually a good episode because it actually does. It's really clever in the way that it actually makes you feel like the Doctor's there, and present, and even the TARDIS is a strong character in that episode as well. It actually is. The TARDIS is quite creepy in that episode. The way it appears and is hanging around, is in the center of things, isn't it? It has its own agency in the story.
Yeah, I mean, I can't knock Blink. I mean, like I said, it was really good. It certainly launched a certain actress, but and good for her. Right, and carrying on with this, and you can see I've used a multicolored effect here because I've gone teacher mad. Thankfully, both season 14 Doctor Who Light episodes take different approaches to the format, which at least makes them intriguing writing exercises. This is what I mean about ego. So with 73 yards, it was a vanishing act of the Doctor, and that was the heart of the story. But he, and then in Dot and Bubble, he appears sporadically through social media feeds. and then the big physical appearance at the end when he blubbed, as you know. And it references that Turn Left is a version of 73 Yards, whereas Dot and Bubble is a version of Blink. Yeah, I know, but weaker. This point, I'm just going to go big screen here because I want to see what the thread in yourself thinks about this. Let's get that. Showrunner RTD explained Gatwa's reduced role in the Millie Gibson-led installment by saying it was partly because Ncuti was busy filming Sex Education. We all know that, yeah. It becomes confusing, though, says this article, as to why such a noticeable scheduling conflict didn't put Gatwa out of contention. There's no denying that Ncuti Gatwa is brilliant as the Doctor. Hello, alert, with his innate charisma. Now, I know what innate means, but in this case, hidden charisma, I haven't seen, and magnetic personality. This is when I say the media, when they're going to criticize, because they really do think it deserves criticism, they have to embellish with all this nonsense. So let me just confirm with you, Cybermat Strikes, because I think you've got it completely wrong. You weren't saying this about Ncuti. It says Ncuti is brilliant, innate charisma and magnetic personality, and that's in the end why they still went with him, even though he wasn't going to be in 2 episodes. Now, can you just sort yourself out, because you've obviously got it wrong.
Look, I think, and we've said this before, I actually think he can do the Doctor, and he does have charisma, but I keep feeling like he's being misdirected and misused, and it's inconsistent as well. So some of those scenes where they slow things down and bring it right in and shrink things around him, I think, there's potential there. But those scenes where he's crying and stuff, I've got to say, I just feel nothing. Like it doesn't hit me at all. Like, but you got David Tennant at the end of Time, man. Every time I watch the 4 knocks thing, that punches you right in the gut, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you've got a situation where, okay, if he wants a more emotional Doctor with Ncuti, and that's where you're going to see all this amazing stuff, the crying isn't even convincing. It's plasters on his cheek. It's the silent tears. So I'm not even convinced he's crying as a Doctor. It just, we need the Doctor to show he's upset. There's so many ways you can show you're upset. And I think this is where Peter Davis and Tom Baker, well, not Tom Baker because he was very obvious, but a lot of the more subtle Doctors actually showed great qualities. And this is why I know I'm going to have to keep doing a version of looking at the classics, because as you said, you're tempted to look at Warriors of the Deep now. You watch Peter Davison in his stride, who comes across in a kind of blander, beige way compared to Tom Baker, who we had to follow. I mean, God, how can you follow that? But by God, he was good. And he has a lovely, subtle range of acting. I mean, he's a quality actor. Whereas Ncuti seems to go shouty to cry. And there's not much in the middle.
Yeah, no, look, I get it. And I think also, like, I've got this is my detox this week.
Oh, I watched that last week, actually.
Yeah, something just made me, I don't know why it was one of my go-tos, but I just had a hankering for a bit of it. And just there's so many moments where I don't even think it would be scripted. It's just the way that Tom and Liz Sladen bounce and riff off each other. It's all so subtle. The chemistry is just electric there, between the two of them.
Well, I've got to put this up, by the way, Cybermat, because a good boy says, and I actually really think that's a very insightful point. I forgot who said it, but someone said, when an actor cries, nobody cares. When an actor tried not to cry, everybody bawls their eyes out. Yeah. It's the choices the actor has to make. And I think, good boy, so far, whether he's been directed to, Ncuti is going for the obvious. It's just too obvious. It doesn't work. There's nothing wrong with our Doctor being emotional. Well, I'm saying this, I'm writing my own canon here. I mean, why, he's been alien before, but he can be angry. Of course he can. Sadako 24. I should have on. Obviously, I've had we've had you on before. I know in the early days, because he's got a real good insight. God, it's an encyclopedic knowledge. From memory, the closest Tom got to Tifa was in Genesis of the Daleks when he thinks Sarah and Harry are. There's a lovely because he tried desperately one more time to stop the rocket going off, and then of course I think he saw it blown up and thought, well, that's it. And then when he sees them again, he's quite shocked. Yeah, there's different ways of doing it. And Doug Sims is agreeing with me, but I think a lot of people would agree with me that Peter Davison is an excellent actor. He's been constantly working for decades, underrated as a doctor. I underrated him as a teenager, because you just had Tom Baker. But actually, when you watch them now, I love watching Peter Davison ones.
Do you know, I like Peter Davison more in that show that he did At Home with the Braithwaites, where he's sort of broken. I found that he's so good in that.
He's good at comedy. I liked his what was it called? The Five-ish Doctors. The comedy.
Yeah. It was great.
The comedy and the direction in that was fantastic. Now, this continues because there's some tasty bits, and we fans who like to talk about classic can bring this in here because you'll get my point. A new Doctor's debut season is the perfect opportunity to establish their version of the Doctor, and that's why I've put it in green because, it should be. But the problem with season 14, says this article, is there's still an incomplete image of what quirks his Doctor boasts. It's only an 8-episode long season. He was in 6 of them. So Gatwa is quickly running out of time to flesh out his Doctor. Whoa. This is the media who all love each other. And then, as it says here, they've added it up and they've said Tennant had, I think, 3 Doctor Light episodes between 2005 and 2010. Gatwa has already had 2. So he's almost catching up with Tennant in such a short period. Doctor Who's increased budget due to the Disney deal suggests that Doctor Who Light episodes are no longer a necessity. And so it's not even subtle, is it? RTD's being called out here. That he's made a strategic error. He's put all his eggs in the basket of Ncuti. He didn't need to. The money behind them means they could have worked around this scheduling wise. The excuses are ridiculous, and I'm fascinated by how the media is really going for this. And they say it a few times, and I'll let you come in now when I've just finished this. Full season was shot on time within the production's budget. There will be a companion light episode and a Doctor Light one, as I mentioned. And the Doctor Who Light episodes are no longer a financial necessity.
You can really see that the shine's worn off. There are people circling ready to say something critical about this era.
That's a good way of putting it. I think the vultures are prowling around a little bit. They wait for the first budge. They'll wait for a bit more of a sign. Now, what I wanted to bring in here in my discussion,
but really, like the fact that that's a topic of an article, who had more Doctor Light episodes. I mean, geez, if that's what we've talking about at the end of a bloody new season of Doctor Who, that's pretty sad.
Yeah. Now, can I ask you and the thread, while we're all talking about Doctor Who Light episodes, and the point was saying that in the first season of the Doctor, its job is to establish the Doctor, and that is the only game in town. Let's be honest. When you get a new Doctor, that first season has to land them, and that's why there was controversy about the twin dilemma, and then we had to wait till attacks, that sort of thing. Okay, then. Ncuti has had 8 episodes. Now, I know 2 of them he wasn't in much, plus the Christmas episode. So 7 or 8 episodes, right? Go with me, Thread. Go with me, Cybermat. And they're saying in the article he's not established yet. Now, let me say this. Taking the length of the episodes, which are classic Who episodes joined together, aren't they? So 1 episode of New Who is 2 episodes of old. An Unearthly Child... Was William Hartnell established after an Unearthly Child, which is only 2 episodes of present day length? Add a bit of Daleks, he was well established. Power of the Daleks and Highlander, well established Pat Troughton. Spearhead from Space and Silurians, John Pertwee, well established. Robot and Ark in Space and Sontaran Experiment, and that would only account for 3 episodes. Oh, sorry, let me get that right. Yeah, 2 would be Robot, 2 would be Ark in Space. It'd be 5, and then take a couple from Genesis, and there you've got your 8 now from the present day length. Tom Baker, God, I was so missing.
I
Tom
think
Baker.
those guys were bedded in the first 25-minute episode, not the whole story.
Yeah, and I can account for that. I'm not one of those fans who just, like some of the new ones who make stuff up just to be blind to the religion. As I was a little 4 or 5-year-old, John Pertwee regenerated. I didn't know what was going on, but he was like a granddad to me. And I thought, oh, I don't like this. And of course, when I saw the new 4th Doctor messing on with a clown's outfit and stuff like that, I didn't like it. I remember as a kid, I hated that. I wasn't getting the humor or anything. I was just hating it because the Doctor, John Pertwee, was so statuesque and brilliant. And then by the end of the episode 1, as you're saying, Cybermat, I was involved in the robot story and I loved this Doctor, and I'd kind of forgotten about the 3rd Doctor. And that's after 1 episode, folks. And this article saying Ncuti hasn't established himself yet after 8 45-minute length episodes. I mean, honestly, and I go through Rose and End of the World. Eccleston was established. The movie, McGann was well established in just 1 movie. Time and Irani and Paradise Towers, Twin Dilemma and Attack. If you go through, every other Doctor has been pretty well established. Now, that's because the writers have focused on the introduction of the Doctor properly. Obviously, the producers had their eye on it. Why have they got this so wrong that actually we're more bothered about the companion? If this series...
It's an interesting point it began, the fact that he had that one story on screen, and you literally see him in Night of the Doctor, and I've seen him on clips, even the clip on Type 40 where he's talking to some of the fans at the at a convention. The guy is the Doctor, and he's so consistent with it 25 years later, and you're just like, in such a small window, he is the Doctor.
Yeah. And Sadako's agreeing with this. Boomer Duggies, the Doctor Light episodes were from scheduling issues, blah, blah, blah. Most Doctors were established after their 1st or 2nd stories. And I've just rattled through the list. Who would argue with that? Honestly, an unearthly child, you have to introduce a new character and a new concept. And so they're focused their writing craft on it. And it worked. And go all the way through. Robot, we've got to establish the 4th Doctor. All the way through, they have known what their job is, and they've been modestly just getting on with it. Right, I need to introduce Ncuti Gatwa, and he's going to be missing for 2 of the 8 episodes. So I'm going to come up with a season arc where it's all about his companion. Please explain that. Please explain the logic of that. Because our eye is on Ruby Sunday. Our eye is on Millie. Our eyes are on other things. And then you give her 2 episodes when she's in it a bit more. What are you doing? This is look, the name on the tin is Doctor Who. It's not called The Companion with a Man. I think RTD and the showrunners now are showing they're bored with the franchise and they want to completely change it because they want to make it interesting to them.
Yeah. Oh, look, the
I'm
whole
depressing it now.
for this season. I'm detoxed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We kicked off some of the people in the thread. I saw some people talking about Android invasion. So
yes.
You'll get people back on board with this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not putting it up just because you said that, Archibald Lazarus. I'm just trying to play catch up. Good point, Brendan. He should never have been cast, really. And remember, I'm not having a go at Ncuti. I'm having a go at the production team. I like Ncuti in Sex Education, so I understood their decision, but I didn't know they were going to balls up the blooming scheduling. Yes, so we rattled through that article, and look at this. One of the most frustrating parts of the Dot and Bubble was he steals the scene at the end. Well, no.
No, that does not happen.
Somebody shouting with false blub on their face is scene stealing. Sorry, no, try again. And so they say, isn't it an enormous mistake that he's been missing in 2 episodes? So the media's waiting to get them. They are waiting there. So, sorry, this detox at the moment has gone through a kind of, remember with detox, you have to go through the hard stuff first, and then we pull ourselves together. So, let's see where we go next. Now, one of the jokey items I had on last night, but it introduced our third topic, Cybermat, is unit. And these are our mock complaints. We have received multiple reports that Colonel Ibrahim has been having inappropriate workplace contact with our commander-in-chief. The incident is currently under investigation. And of course, you think, well, if that's under investigation, you'd have that kid under investigation for being a wild child. I think the parents wouldn't have allowed him to have such a lethal weapon. And then, of course, you've got the Rose character who, I mean, she got GCSEs to do and stuff like that instead of just sorting out shoplifting in Catford and hanging around with a tablet. She's got revision to do. So unit's a mess. But this is where this article goes, Cybermat Strikes, where, of course, RTD's got plans for everything. This is what worries me.
Every time they say RTD's got a plan for something now, I just go, oh, God.
Exactly. Because you know that each one of these plans might be a good idea if he thought them through, but the trouble is we're going through a period where he doesn't think anything through. Now, just before I go any further, I'd like to keep up with the thread since it blooming froze the other night. I do apologize.
Yeah, let's go.
Eastlyn, Capaldi is still regenerating in a section of space. I know. And as you know, with our salvaging show, we tried to say, can we include every doctor, but we retcon things rather than cancel a doctor. But it's hard. It's hard. Sadako 24, Dot and Bubble is the one I have seen. I will admit I did find that scene one of Shooty's more doctorish moments. The end bit. Well, I suppose every doctor has to have a speech, and he did get one. I just don't think he was strong in. Oh, I don't know. It wasn't a strong.
What, the speech where he goes, rah, rah, rah.
Yes, it wasn't.
It's like,
yes, it wasn't well written by RTD. He was asking the actor to do something, wasn't he? Just raw.
I really want to see the script for that speech there.
I think they're quite short. Divine and Dragon, I try to be more tolerant. I know we all do, actually. Gatwa may be suitable for certain acting roles, but he is simply miscast and out of his depth for this series and character. Now, whose fault's that? Look, Jodie Whittaker, we said the same. And again, I have no skin in the game to go against and gripe Jodie Whittaker. I just think the writing didn't match her and didn't serve her. And this is happening again. Malcolm Patterson, since 2005, most seasons have tended to focus on the companion. Yes, Rose's love, Martha's unrequited love, Dr. Donna, love triangle of Amy, Impossible Girl. Actually, I'm Gay Billy. They're all more than a passenger. Yeah, I know, and I'm over it. I am. It's called Doctor Who. It's not called who's the latest floozy in the TARDIS who's got issues. It's just not. Yeah. Anyway, he's got a lovely idea, and I shouldn't be talking about myself because that's ego. I should be talking about the great RTD. It's going to unit's going to play a pivotal role in integrating past and present characters, new and familiar faces all together. And I've put it in red for fan engagement, Cybermat. This is going to engage you. When you see Stephen Taylor appear, or when you see Rose appear again, I mean the original Rose, oh my God, you'll be so excited and engaged. This is his plan. Now, obviously, I mentioned in the recent stream, the Sea Devil's coming back, and of course, units all over that like a rash with Shirley, with Kate, with Bonnie. So here we go. RTD unveiled his ambitious vision. Honestly, he's got somebody else's money. And the show will go in an exciting new direction, acknowledging the show's deep history. Right. Okay. Let's just get this right. Acknowledging the show's deep history is not that. That's not acknowledging Sutekh in Pyramids of Mars. That's just wrecking it. That's pooing all over it. You know, I mean, come on. That's not acknowledging it. RTD's version, Cybermat, of acknowledging the show's history is to put graffiti spray all over it.
Or to just, have it rock up in the finale on a TV screen and say, who's that? instead of saying, one of the best Doctor Who's ever, and one of the best episodes you'll ever watch that we're not worthy to show here.
Yeah.
It's just like, why would you do that? I mean, if like, I think when you guys were talking about fixing the show the other day, if we were sitting around as a group of fans talking about, okay, we're going to write an episode like that, if someone was sitting at the table and suggested that, you'd just be like, no, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's the show you're
Just
referencing.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
It was a nice, tasty one, and when I say it's a fun one, it's a positive, constructive one. Not because I'm saying so; it's because fans had written to us, and if you haven't seen it, we got loads of ideas on how we can save the show, and actually how we can without me saying let's cancel Geordie or anything, because I know some fans say Capaldi never regenerated. I'm starting from there. I'm actually saying, no, I'm going to try and say, can we retcon it with everything? And as I said, and I'll say it again, Divine and Dragon won the lottery at the end. So if you don't want to watch our whole stream, go to the last 15 minutes and you will see Divine and Dragon, who he won't be the only fan, but he actually scored big in that one. So please enjoy it, everybody, if you haven't seen it.
And I think you've got the right idea as well. To me, Doctor Who, it's a straw. It's like the talking stick. You've got to pass it down through the generations between the production teams and keep it going, and you carry it forward. And everyone up until the last 5 years seemed to respect that you take it forward respectfully without crapping on the past.
Yeah.
And if you want to do something different, you do something different in your era, but you don't go back and rewrite it. Like when they did Unit, and when Hinchcliffe came in, and when Barry Letts came in, they did, and John Nathan Turner, they did their changes in their era.
See you
and
later.
then moved on.
So thanks for joining us, Lee. Thanks for that. And this is the unit thing's I'm gonna get you all. I'm gonna get you triggered. I know I am, because the article carries on. I hope every time we come to unit, he says, there'll be revolving staff and new people and new faces and old familiar faces. In about 10 years' time, the whole place will be packed with recurring actors. Now, this seems to be an argument, Cybermat, for saying, now let me just test you on this one. That obviously, clearly, because we've seen it in Power of the Doctor, Ace can come back, can't she?
Yeah. To be honest, I would have liked Ace back now.
Tegan can come back again.
Yeah, I mean, she can. I felt that she wasn't served that well in Power of the Doctor, but
the money's good.
It was passable.
So here we go, folks. Who would you like to come back, since this is his master plan? And if he says it's his genius idea to bring loads of characters from the past, oh my God. Right. So I'm going to ask you them all, and you've got to remember where they are in our Who-niverse, so to speak. So Ace and Tegan, obviously, because they were in Geordie's. Does that mean Nyssa could come back? I mean, she was in the trailer, I know. Does that mean Turlo can come back?
Yeah, I don't.
Does that mean in our time window we can get Adric back? Does it mean Amy can come back and Rory, even though I know the alternative timeline, so to speak? Martha can. She's in the Sea Devils spin-off. What about Clara? What about Bill? What about Nardole? What about Graham, Yaz, Ryan, Joe, Leela, K9, Stephen, Susan, Polly, Jamie, Zoe, Romana, Vicky? Where are we going with this?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to have everyone just floating around easily accessible, do you?
I just think, look, I love all these people and I love their contributions to Doctor Who, and we all have our favourites from that list. I don't think Doctor Who needs to be some sort of kind of reunion show. That's not storylines. Yes, there's sentiment when you see them for the first time back, and I love Bonnie Lanford, and I love to see Mel in a way they've given her something decent to do, but that's a risk every time, because I'm not happy about him making her the bonkers auntie, mind you. Heather would love Ian and Barbara. Oh God, wouldn't we love that? And Ian for those seconds in Power of the Doctor. Oh, what a missed moment that was. Sean, Martha will have divorced. I can't see them bringing. Yeah, well, yeah, Mickey's out of it. Yeah. And yes, Divine and Dragon, I agree with you. Returning characters do sparingly, so they're special. If every week you're going, oh, it's Benton, oh, it's K9, oh, it's Susan, oh, it starts to become a freak show of just kind of it's like Stars in Their Eyes if you got it in Australia when who's coming through the mist now? You know, come on, where's the story?
There was a little part of me that would have liked to, a cameo of John Levine, having some interaction with Kate, just for a bit of a, I mean, it's one of those things where again, that's the fan, but there's no reason to do that for the mainstream audience. No one else is going to get it.
But my other question, Cybermat and Thread, isn't this okay? If I sound as I've got a gripe about bringing back all companions, because let's say they could write it well, let's just give them that for a moment. Although the other thing is, I think they're diminishing units. My argument is the 15th Doctor's been diminished. The Doctor's character's been diminished. The TARDIS has been diminished and changed. Unit is now being diminished because Unit should be the secret top security organization. It now seems to be a kind of youth apprenticeship scheme. It now seems to be, and we can bring any oldies back, the Veterans Brigade. It's Dad's Army meets the youth. They're cheaping it. And then we've got Kate holding hands with Colonel Ibrahim. Just add it all together, even if you like certain bits. Add it all together, you are wrecking and changing and diminishing and devaluing and making it just look like some hodgepodge organization. Remember, was it Carla Sunday could just pop in on a Mother's Day just to check on her daughter? Remember when she just walked in?
To be honest, just listening to you outline it, it very much tallies with the sort of ratings that we got. No, to me, it doesn't sound enticing.
No, I've got no. I mean, Hugh, who, as you know, we get on a lot of our shows. Hugh, he's got a love-hate relationship with Unit. He likes the Brigadier. Unit, he's got a problem with the militaristic thing in Doctor Who. But this is going way beyond it. This is just kind of. Oh, I just think RT's. What's it right? When RTD says, "Oh, I think in 10 years' time we'll have a revolving door of old and new characters." Basically, he's inventing a soap opera called Unit. That's what he's inventing, soap opera. So, Unit as a military defense operation, says Divine and Dragon, would not be able to bring back aging companions as field operatives. In fact, anyone would need critical skills. This is what I mean. It just loses a bit of logic. It really does. You see, he thinks he's got this neat bit of post-it here where he goes, "Oh, I can. Do you know what? Now I've got the whole money. I can get Unit, and Unit is like a porthole into this." Well done, Chibnall. That Timeless Children was a portal into me doing what the hell I want with the franchise. Unit is a brilliant portal for me to do this. That's a very good. The Memory TARDIS is a very good portal to do this. And he's just seen this slapdash approach, this polyfiller to sci-fi, to actually just go, "Oh, ha, 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 ha." Have you thought about any of this, RTD?
No, all his intelligent stuff. He's got intelligent string. He's got intelligent rope. He's got intelligent gloves. He's got intelligent Coke cans. He's got intelligent. It's like if you've got to use the word intelligent in front of something, it's actually the opposite. It's called dumb.
I've now got Cybermat and Thread a very big question for you, even if you've bought into this so far. If Unit is going to be key, like a context for every week, so to speak, almost like the 70s, but it's got loads of different interesting characters returning. So one week it might be Stephen Taylor or Polly, just imagine it. Again, how far do we need the Doctor? Because if I just reminded you of Empire of Death, right? The only reason we got out of that situation is because Mel, who was spying on Susan Triad, Mel, who's working for Unit. So Mel was key to that story. Mel's scooter was key to that story. If you really think Unit having that great technology, the time window, was key to that story, not the Doctor. He didn't even have to twiddle any knobs or wires, did he? He didn't have to reverse the polarity of the neutron flow. The Doctor was redundant. Unit had built something. Unit had a brilliant spy operative in Mel with a scooter. Just keep adding all these elements up, and if you make anyone special who comes back, and I'm saying the more you make Unit the show, the more you're making Doctor irrelevant. Therefore, it's not Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the proposed Unit spin-off. Especially after the state we've seen the show left in. I just thinking, if we'd had a strong season, I'd be up for it. I wasn't worried going into the season with the talk of spin-offs. I thought this would be cool.
Yeah.
After the season's end, I'm like, dude, you need whatever effort or energy you need to put it into the main show and try and figure out how to fix this thing.
This is what I mean. Like we showed you earlier, there is a theme to this, hopefully, that when he said he wanted the Shalka Doctor there because it was nice. And if he brings Peter Purvis back, for example, that's because it's nice. He brings back Bonnie Lanford because it's nice. Basically, he's making himself the godfather of Doctor Who, where everybody goes, oh, he did me such a lovely favour. He did this amazing favour. Yes, Doctor Who, as I said, is his version of Moonpig. He's just kind of using it to hand out gifts and cards to everybody, but does it have narrative, logic, or authenticity? So you can see where I'm going on this one. Sorry, I'm on a really good cheerful one here, aren't I? But these are the things you get. And notice this: Davy's strategy involves transforming Units. Notice transforming into a hub where past meets present. So basically, they need a massive cafeteria. Maybe Susan Twist serving the tea, and let's have a billionaire serving the tea. Classic. And as long as there's pizzas for the lad. And it's just a meeting place where you might get Polly on one table and Leela on the other. Great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm up for this. So here we go. Characters with past experience. Now, this is his great idea. Do you buy into this? Characters with past experiences dealing with, say, the supernatural or extraterrestrial are ideal candidates for re-entry into the storyline. So I'm guessing he's saying if there was an old companion who was really good at dealing with the supernatural and they've got a supernatural story, he'll bring them back for that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, none of these characters, the mainstream audience isn't there. They don't care. Why do it? It's not going to help the show.
The other thing I'm thinking, though, Cybermat, is he wasn't coming back, was he, RTD? Look at all these ideas thread that he's doing at the moment. RTD was maybe going to come back to do the 3 specials, and then that was it. It was just a nice reunion. Notice reunions is our theme here, with Catherine Tate and David Tennant. And then, of course, he was ambushed in a much more executive meeting than he realised. And then he probably saw pound signs and Disney and thought, aye, aye. And all of a sudden, he's got all these genius back of the fag packet ideas to go, oh, yes, I can do the job. I'm amazing, darling. And do you know what? I've got this idea that Unit could get us to do the Whoniverse. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, my God, I can see hundreds of stories already. Oh, I'm typing away. And then he's also then goes, oh, yes. And if it's a massive Stark Tower, we can have a time window on one floor. And every time the Doctor lands back, the Unit's got another secret floor. And that will help be the plot device because the Doctor is no longer needed as he always was to solve anything. Unit will do it. That's brilliant. And you can just see this nonsense. Now, he's thought of 3 stories in the time I've spoken, but none of them make sense. And I am frightened by this. I am, because he is nothing like the man he was during the first era.
Well, the overall vision of that at a high level before this season, I was sold on. I thought, yep, this will be great. I don't see. I'm not one of these people that believes that what we've got is because Disney. This is 100% RTD and Bad Wolf and BBC. I don't believe that the negative things that we've seen are in any way, shape, or form driven by the funding from Disney. I think you could argue that it might having more money allowed them to invest in dumb ideas, but I don't think that Disney are not the reason or the architects of the demise of this era. In my view, I think it's 100% them.
I mean, I'm going to bring the thread in a minute. I am trying my best here. But the other thing is, if my argument is the unit could be compromised here as an idea, but as you have unit in more in the way he's going to do it like a hub between past and present, I also think he's threatening the whole character of the Doctor and the importance of the Doctor. But then, and I was going to make another point, but a senior citizen moment. I was going to join together. Don't worry. I'll bring in the thread now while my little senior citizen head gets it gets his act together. Oh yes, that was the point. I always remember when I'm just about to say hello to somebody. It also diminishes the farewell, because somebody in the thread was talking about when you see each companion leave, and then they might come back for a special, for a moment. It's a nice cameo. But this actually bringing them back almost rewrites and diminishes their exit sometimes. A bit like By Generation wrecks the whole concept of regeneration being a big peril Jeopardy episode full of drama. Now they're all floating around and doing their own thing. RTD is destroying this, and I never thought I'd say this, Cybermat. I just look at how flippant he is with everything, with all the toys in the box. Unit, the TARDIS, the Doctor, regeneration, the companions, and not one of them is he serving well. Please tell me I'm wrong.
No, look, I wish it wasn't true. I didn't think it was going into this season. I didn't think it'd be true. I thought we would get a lot of politics embedded in the show, which has always been in his stuff. But at the same time, I felt that overall he would be strong in his writing and his characterization. But
yeah,
I think it's one thing that I know you've had Disparu on, but it's one thing that I've seen Disparu in a few of his criticisms of new writing. It's the issue around the values that the writers are bringing to the show. Traditional values that we all aspire to, the hero's journey thing. We used to talk about, and I mean, you're an English teacher, the universal values of things like Shakespeare and universal truths and things that storylines that are timeless storylines. What we're seeing now is with identity creeping in, it seems that they're approaching these stories from the wrong side of the equation. So they're trying to get us to align with values that the audience wouldn't ordinarily align to.
Yeah, I mean, if I was teaching of Mice and Men, you'd talk about the Great Depression and you'd talk about friendship. That's what you're talking about, isn't it? If we are teaching Macbeth, you're talking about kinship and ambition. But I think what you're saying now is they are coming thinking, no, I need to show this trans character. And they're almost thinking of an inclusive approach to storytelling rather than the values.
Well, they'd have us like side with Lady Macbeth, which, anyone watching Hamlet should be, realizing that Lady Macbeth is a dangerous character.
Yeah.
Not one to be trifled with. But the fact that in these modern stories, they try and make her the misunderstood good guy. And you're just like, well, that's messed up.
Or they'll make the woman character who was driving the man, really, although she was feeding in the lines, because let's face it, Macbeth was ambitious. But the whole point is that they'd give Lady Macbeth a backstory, wouldn't they? That's what they'd do. This is not about
Yeah.
patriarchy anymore. We need to look at the woman and why she's like that and big her up. And of course, leave the white man high and dry is still a nasty piece of work. Right, I'll bring in the thread. By the way, we're going to do a nice cheer up in a minute and I'll get you all flying around with all your great ideas. So please stick with us for a few more minutes. Malcolm Peterson, in Stolen Earth, we had a cabal of companions that have all defeated the Daleks at least once. And yet they all peed their pants when they heard the Dalek's voice. Yeah. I think you really, I think about Liz Slade and Sarah as well. I mean, I didn't know whether she was doing that because obviously I like to defend Sarah Jane. I don't know if she was doing that because she had Luke. And you know, when you can be braver when it's just you're single and younger, but when you're a parent, maybe you're more bothered about circumstances. I don't know. I was trying to think it through. Major's Guilt. If the unit show is aimed at an old audience like Torchwood, and I can see both Louise Jameson and Nicola Bryant on screen at the same time, I'm in. Listen, we love these people, and I'd love a reason to see them again. It's just that whether this is the vehicle. I've seen JC Marshall mentioning this. The companion support group at the end of The Power of Doctor was a travesty. It was another slap in the face to all of those lovely characters from 60 Years of Who. I mean, I was grasping that you have to hear it. Katie Manning's laugh. You can hear Katie Manning laughing, but she doesn't really get to say anything. It's like, ah. And then, of course, the only lines Ian Chesterton gets to say is, "Did you say she?" And you think, oh, God, what?
Yeah, that I really irked me that's what they brought him back just for that. Like, seriously?
Yeah,
that's what you gave. That's what you gave him, brought him for.
Yeah. It's almost
I wish they
were making the very first series authenticating what they're doing now. It was like a rubber stamp to them. I hate that use.
Yeah, I actually wish that to me, what they should have done is open Power of the Doctor with that support group, with the the pre-title credits, and then have Yaz or someone burst in after at the end of the events of Power of the Doctor. I think it would have been better up front. Would have been more interesting.
Oh, right, we're going to get onto this in a minute. Don't worry, all the cheerful stuff's coming. Jason Rose Noble. You've made me dead name, Divine and Dragon. I read that so fast. You are so pretty, aren't you? I know. Rose Noble is beautiful, I have to say. Can I just say that now, Cyberrat? She's beautiful.
No, stunner.
She's very good with a tablet as well. Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? I watched that with my parents because they'd asked about the special, and I just sort of
cried.
And I was just seeing. I wanted to see how long it took them to figure out what was going
on. Sorry, Archibald Lazarus. It would have been the Thursday Murder Club of Doctor Who. I tell you what, this is us, isn't it? The Doctor Who detox is turning into the Murder Club. I tell you what, we've got a list of vendettas here. I tell you.
We've just been drinking the cleansing agent. Now we've got to let it rip.
I know. Divine and Dragon, RTD and Chimler are all about reaching into the legacy canon and characters to hunt down legitimacy with, and I want to get talking about that with the biographer of Malcolm Hulke, as you all know soon. I'll have him on, and he's going to do a mini series with us. So please join us for that. You know, I'll just remind you of it, where we can really talk about the politics and everything. Right. Okay. So Unit, I think, has been compromised. I'm not too sure about if it's the right vehicle for this. All it is the Whoniverse. Let's face it. That's all it is for. It's a cash cow for RTD and Bad Wolf. That's all it is. It's a plaything cash cow. It's all about the profit motive. Tell me a good story arc, and integrate people properly. That's what I want to see. Right. Okay. Now, as I'm just getting to the right place, let's kind of get us all laughing. Now, one thing on the program last night is we had the best battles in Doctor Who. So I'm going to throw you and the thread on the spot. I'm not inviting you. You have to watch the stream again last night. It'd be nice if you did. But Cybermat, what would be, if off the top of your head, what's the best battle sequence you've seen in Doctor Who? And what does a thread reckon? What's the best battle sequence? And while you're thinking, I'll just help out. That was mine last night. It was the 5 Doctors. It was the Raston Rory robot versus.
That was great. Yeah, I love. You never get tired of the way that thing dismantles that entire cyber.
A vomiting Cyberman and the beheading one.
The liquid metal. It was just, and apparently J&T directed. That
did.
thing. I mean, he did a great job then.
Can you imagine RTD directing anything? Oh my god!
But so, look at that. Look how cheap that was, and yet how cool it is at the same time.
It was dramatically done. That was the point. And I think this is the magic of this. Every one of these sequences. So please, everybody in the thread, what's a good battle sequence you've seen in Doctor Who? Okay, just tell us. Because this 5 Doctors one, you know, when you sometimes say if it was remade now, I mean, I wouldn't want it remade because I think it really works. I actually don't know where the money would come from. All you would do is have more Cybermen killed, I think. Maybe a longer sequence, but I don't think it would need changing at all with money. And maybe some of the battle sequences we listed last night on our program could be helped by more money. Trouble is, I just think some of these writers see it as an easy hit. You know, like, let's have 1 million Daleks in the sky in Doomsday. It's like, not really. Nah, it doesn't work. It just looks like cartoon. So I've bought you some time. You go and then, can you think of a battle sequence you really enjoyed in Doctor Who?
I must admit, I love the ones through season 26, and it's apt because we've got the Blu-ray on the way. But I love the Remembrance battle scenes, especially with the special weapons Daleks.
Yeah,
it's just great. And the one Silver Nemesis.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some funny ones in Battlefield.
Yes. And we did that 2 weeks ago. If you haven't seen that, we talked about Battlefield 2 weeks ago. Remembers of the Daleks, I give a special mention to last night, I have to say. The Daleks v. the Cybermen was Rachel's choice in Doomsday. Yes, and Talons and Wayne Cheyenne. 2 of my 5 panelists last night mentioned this one. Unit in Ambassadors of Death Part 1, where they're in the warehouse. And there's a shootout. And we were laughing last night because you had the Brigadier who took a shot at the side there, without looking. He just shot 3 people. He also led. It actually went on it felt like 3 or 4 minutes. It was really strong. It felt like the Sweeney meets Doctor Who. I loved it. So yes, that one went down well last night, Talons. Rob Fellow says Unit versus Bok in the Demons. That's it.
Yeah, that was good.
We didn't mention that last night. Oh my god, we can't be Doctor Who. Oh my god.
And what better way it ends with the Brigadier and Captain Yates going to the pub for a pint. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, as Malcolm here says, I don't think there were many battle scenes as such. I know I really tested my panelists on this one because Classic Who had budgetary constraints. And so a battle scene might be like Day of the Daleks, where you get a couple of Daleks in a big field and a few Ogrons. And it's like, whoa.
I'm surprised we haven't had sexy Movellen, robots back in the RTD era. I would have thought they'd be right up his alley.
I think the Movellans are a problem because of cultural appropriation. If you look at their hairdo, hello. Frank Einstein, 5 rounds rapid. I think the Demons is going down well. Rob Fellows, yes, anything by Havoc, Inferno, the lot of stunts were fantastic. Now, yes, Crimpling, I'll agree with you. You know I love the Sea Devils, so I'm going to agree with you.
Yes.
The Sea Devils versus the Royal Navy, yeah, that was a little battle sequence. I loved that whole minefield and everything.
I love the way that episode is just like hovercrafts and helicopters.
Yeah. Well, I could do the item against Cyberman, which is, what would the Shooty Doctor do? He'd probably say, I don't like hovercraft. I get seasick. You might, I can just say, Sir X-Man, the Cybermen versus the Daleks and the Day Rose Died. Well, you agree with Rachel there. Yeah, it was dramatic. It was a bit of, the dialogue was funny because they were getting bitchy to each other, weren't they? The Cybermen, Daleks.
Do you think the 15 still know how to do Venetian Aikido?
I don't think he wants to hurt anyone, because actually when we did Rories of the Deep last night, one thing I think I remarked on was, gosh, wasn't the Fifth Doctor violent? Kicking that man in the groin, slamming him, and all the rest of it. And then you see the Ncuti Doctor, who actually, I think was Gary said last night, apart from running across some rooftops in the Church and Ruby Road and jumping on a ladder with his Mavity gloves, he hasn't actually done any action, really, has he?
No, it's all done with intelligent rope and string.
And other people solving it. I mean, it was Mel with the scooter. He just got on the back. Broken TARDIS, Ace versus the Dalek with the baseball bat. Yeah, because battles could be 1-to-1. You could have a mental battle. Nobody mentions the Mara. You know, the battle between Tegan and the Mara. I suppose you could say a mental battle.
Ace with the baseball bat was, I remember thinking,
it was iconic.
Awesome. Yeah.
It was iconic. Unit versus the Autons. Yes, Spearhead from space. And because I didn't see it at the time, and of course you get the videos and DVDs later, there's a dramatic moment. I think, are you in somebody's back garden or something? And just there, when they're wearing them blue overalls and they're just attacking you and the hand drops, absolutely, they are quite cold, aren't they? We've got some great new people in the thread. Please subscribe. I'm still trying to become a millennial. How do you say that? Chaluhi Chris? I agree. The special weapons Dalek and its sheer exterminating power was awesome. The only question I have, Chris, is why didn't they just have a whole Dalek army called Special Weapons?
Yes, why aren't all the Daleks Special Weapons Daleks? Yeah.
Because he's got an ego. He's the RTD of the Dalek army. Excuse me, darling. I have all the answers. You can only have one RTD in the universe. Major's Guild. I'm personally happy with the Eighth Doctor ending to Susan, which is canon after Night of the Doctor. He specifically calls out Lucy Miller in the episode. I know this is the thing, isn't it? It's awful, isn't it, when fans think I have to cut off here. I have to cut off here. A clever writer would go, okay, that was a bit problematic. As RTD says in one of these articles I'm referencing, he says none of us have used the half human, half Time Lord from the movie. None of us have gone there. So you don't have to do Timeless Children. Hi, Brendan says, Talons, it was more the battle when transporting the space capsule. Got you. Heather, hello. I know you've been with us all the time here. I'm not much on battle scenes. What qualifies in Classic Who exactly? I know. Michelle picked just the seed in the Sea Devils, the Master having a sword fight with the John Pertwee Doctor, because she said it was a nice, more kind of isolated fight scene. I say battle. I mean, battle is normally the big franchises in America, isn't it? But I
think in ours in Classic it was filler.
Yeah, it's just the way that you see Doctor Who at scale, don't you? I mean, 8 Cybermen in Earthshock, it might be the most you can get, that sort of thing. Day of the Daleks, a couple of Daleks and a few Ogrons. You're limited. And so it's either brilliant direction or, oh, yes, Sadako, Web of Fear, the battle scene on the streets. Yeah, very good, very good.
The Underground.
Yeah. And of course, the War Games is full of battles.
The invasion. Yeah.
Yeah. Crimplin's gone for the battle between Grun. Yeah, in the pit, in Grun and the Doctor. What was his stump double called? It's gone out of my head. Terry Walsh, was it?
Yeah.
The Daleks versus the human robots. Yeah, the Movellans, the Destiny of the Daleks one. Malcolm, Brendan. I could go into why I think the Daleks' evolution is stupid and they should be undefeated by now, but it'd take too long. Yeah, at least you're trying to think about it, Malcolm. But RTD in all his interviews says, I'm not going to tell you what that woman in 73 yards says when they all scream. I can't be bothered. Can't be. And then, of course, our final article today about Mrs. Flood, he says, I might not explain why she broke the fourth wall. I might not tell you. Can't be bothered. Unbelievable.
You know what though? I don't think anyone. I think there's a lot of people online that cared that no longer care. After the end of the season, a lot of people went, you know what? I don't care what Mrs. Flood is.
Cybermat. I think the theme of this stream today is the word you used ages ago, which is apathy. The biggest challenge, says Divine and Dragon, is respecting damaged canon while correcting course. And you're the one who sorted it. The last 15 minutes of our Sunday show, everybody, it's must-see TV if you want the franchise sorted. Major's Guild. The line "I've walked in a universe created by a madman" that 11 says is a reference to Razalon crafting the timeless universe in the events of Zagreus. I'm going to have to listen to Zagreus again. I've got it. Can't remember much about what actually happened. Loved Kevin Stoney's guest spot with Troughton. Good battle threats. The Third Doctors versus Omega, I suppose, running through the quarry, and those blobby gel guards. The
Vaughn and Mavic Chen and Vaughn, both Kevin Stoney, they're both great characters.
Yeah. David Harding, we had that in our stream last night. I referenced it. The Daleks versus the Mechanic. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Sir X-Man, I was born in 65 and I've seen every Doctor Who, even this crappy season. And you're still with us. Stick with us because we'll be. Tell us what you want. What do you want us to actually review in our own inimitable style? There's our kind of contacts. Just to remind you, since I'm mentioning that, the email's the best one really out of those, or DM me on Sense the Sphere on Twitter. But tell us what you want us to actually discuss. I'll gladly do it. We're a new program. Give us a sub, give us a like, and we'll do. We're like tarts. So, yes. Little final one here. Mrs. Flood. There's a huge twist coming. I'm sick of this huge twist lark. We had Susan twist. I mean, are you still with us, Cybermat? I mean, Mrs. Flood as well.
Oh dear.
Oh, I like.
How long are they going to string her out for, though? Like, seriously, what? The end of season 2?
Right. As an English teacher, I'm going to pick on your verb exactly. Stringing out. This is the problem. It's called filler, isn't it?
Intelligent string.
So here we go. Speaking exclusively, now I've got 2 articles blurred together here. You will find out more about her as we go along. I think we knew that already, but this next bit says, in fact, this particular series, season 2, which we're filming at the moment, you do actually find out quite a lot about her. And then, if I just quickly refer to what RTD said recently, he said, and I think, can we all tease out what he means in this slogan? Because actually, when the slogan for season 1 came out about the Cosmic Joyride, we all now know that the Cosmic Joyride was Sutek having a joyride on the TARDIS for 50 years. Sad to say, it didn't deliver, did it? So there we go. Sutek on the TARDIS was joyriding. So if we go back to this, he says, the Mrs. Flood mystery will be revealed, promising fans the ride of a lifetime. Now, that to me, Cybermat strikes, I think, because he says it a few times. Now, what do you think he could mean by ride of a lifetime? Because lifetime talks about, seems to me, is a character's whole lifespan. Do you know what? Shall I tell you what I'm thinking straight away?
Give it to me, Brendan. I want to know what you think about this.
There. Susan.
Well, you think she is Susan?
I think there's a chameleon. Oh, what's that? The chameleon thing where you're the fob watch and all that jazz. I think she recognizes a TARDIS. She drops her bags when it takes off because she hasn't seen a TARDIS for quite a long time. She's bitter and twisted. She's the one who waited. She's waited an awful long time after being dumped on Earth. Now, I like to just come up with theories. If I'm wrong, the fun of being a fan is that, isn't it? But the thing is, why does he say the ride of a lifetime? She has waited since 1964. It's a lifetime of waiting. It just needs to be a character who's waited a lifetime to me. And the ride of a lifetime is, I don't know. I just think looking at that slogan,
I don't trust Russell's hyperbole anymore, Brendan. I've seen too many inconsistencies with Mrs. Flood through the course of the season, and I don't trust that he's writing intelligently enough to pay it off this time around. And you know what? I would never have had that distrust through RTD1's era, but after this season, I'm not convinced that he knew what she was when he started writing her, and I don't. I think there are inconsistencies throughout the season in areas where I don't think the pieces fit together properly.
Okay, then let's try this, and then I'm going to come to the thread, and then really let's test this out. I know I'm testing you as fans here, but why was Mrs. Flood standing on a rooftop making those pronouncements? All I can say is you are in for a ride of a lifetime. Now, I know when before Empire of Death and the Pantheon of Gods, some people were saying you can have the god of storytelling. So I've heard that one. So I'll go to the thread and see what Cybermat thinks in a moment. Let's just join from Broken TARDIS. Let's have a look. Be funny if she's the Rani EastEnders Link getting revenge for dimensions in time. Yeah. Divine and Dragon, Mrs. Flood is too meta and breaks the fourth wall as a narrator. She doesn't belong in the story. One theory I saw yesterday, Divine and Dragon, is one I do not want you writing, and it's one I don't want to see, which is that it is so meta that oh, what's that Hollywood movie with Jim Carrey where it's all a TV program?
Truman Story.
Yeah, that actually this is all a TV. There's something bigger, like this is a miniscope, Carnival of Monsters. Oh no, just do not do that, please. Don't go that level where Doctor Who's just is a toy. Just don't do it, please. But I've heard that mentioned. Malcolm, her outfit looks too much like Romana's, and people saw she looked like Clara with the jumper earlier as well. So he's playing with us again. He's playing with us. Major's Guild, Talons of Wench I Am would be a good story to explore. Oh, would they go there now? My God. Heather WP, the woman who plays...
I've got a confession about Talons one day, Brendan.
Okay, you can tease us in a minute, actually. I wonder if she is resuming her role from the audio dramas. So X-Man, I hope RTD doesn't redo the Key to Time. So X-Man, if he does that, we've got to remember that Sutek was on the TARDIS when they met the White Guardian in the Rebus operation. What the White Guardian said here is... This is how you'll find all the 6 fragments, even though one of the most evil creatures is sat on your TARDIS. Did you know? Come on. This retrospective look at Sutek now ruins nearly everything. Absolutely ruins it.
Sutek was on the TARDIS at the church on Ruby Road. He could have solved his own mystery that evening. Like he was there when Ruby got dropped off.
Oh,
why does he care about the whole thing?
Oh, now you're ruining it with plot. Yeah, you're right. I agree, Steve. She was left in the 22nd century, but we do have a time window on floor 4. It's like Are You Being Served and Grace Brothers. On one of the floors of Unit, we've got a time window. She can come through the time window like Play School. I mean, hello.
Do you think she's coming back? I don't think she's coming back. If you're gonna, why tease her all season and then not bring her back? I just can't believe they did that.
Because it's a 2-season arc. Remember, RTD. The one thing, he's had the greatest indulgence that any writer's ever had in Doctor Who, which is he's had 2 seasons to play with at once. So, assuming the audience will come back, big assumption, he can sow some seeds for season 2. I don't think, would he be clever to tease 61-year fans, as in fans from the 61 years, tease us that Susan might come back and then not do it? Would that be suicide? Would that be crazy to do that? I think he will be jealous. Remember, he copies. His friend, Chris Chibnall, brought back William Russell. And so I think RTD will want to trump that and bring back Caroline Ford. I'm in no doubt. It's just he's going to tease us for a bit longer. So then you've got to think, how does he bring her back? What, she's shopping in Tesco? Or, how... And I know, Steve, she's in another century, but that time window is a bit like the Timeless Children. It's his gateway to do what the hell he wants. And, he might just go back and go, do you know what? I need to go through the time window. I'm going to focus my memories, the memory TARDIS. I'm going to focus my memories from 2064, and I'm going to just focus. I remember Susan. And all of a sudden, Susan's there. It's all hocus pocus nonsense. I can see the solution now. He hasn't even had to get into a sweat and think about it. So I'm sorry. Why am I depressing everyone today? I'm sorry. How are you thinking? Good to see you. She's a manifestation of Ncuti's years, hence the flood. Oh God! Now I've gone a bit senile. She's Susan. Right. What's that saying? I'm trying to work it out.
She's a manifestation.
She might be. Please tell us thinking, I've gone a little bit old here. Frank Einstein, according to my sources, Mrs. Flood will be the Valeyard. Your sources? Oh, get us on. Come on, get on our show. Talons of Winch, and the one line I focused on that she said when she was being Suteked to death was, I had such plans. Yeah, before she crumbled into a sandcastle. Yeah, I had such plans before.
But if she's meant to be a threat, you've already just basically undermined her character right then and there, because she's basically resigning the fact that she's going to be dissolved into dust.
I know, and does that mean she's not Susan Talons? The fact that she said, I've not... See, why does that sound malevolent that you say, I have such plans? It's a devious line, because we as Doctor Who fans think that means plans for evil, but it could be Susan had plans to do some shopping. She has to get a few Christmas presents for the nephew. I had such plans, and now I'm never going to be able to post the letters.
RTD seems to have sort of transformed her, though, towards the end of this season into some sort of unreliable narrator, I think. But to what end, I don't know. Don't care, really.
The most important thing... So extra, you do care. Hit that like and share, everyone. Let's go. I did your... Yeah, come on. Everybody, give me... I was told... What did they say a few streams ago? They said, let's do a likes hike. And I said, what's a like hike? Everybody, I'm going to count down from 5 seconds. Give us a like hike. I think that's what they call it. No, I want this to be called the sub hub. Forget units. This is the sub hub. I love this. Divine and Dragon, RTD needs to show the Moffat-like ability to craft complicated and sophisticated to write Mrs. Flood well. It's not going to happen. I've lost so much faith. If anyone watches for a second streams I did when I started this in December and January, I have gone on such a journey. I can't believe I am so angry and disappointed now, and I really am not giving him any leeway anymore. As I said, that Timeless Children and him saying he's going to use it, Cybermat, I think is a declaration of war.
Look, I know he said that from early on, and I actually thought, look, I'm one of these people that thinks you can actually turn this stuff around, and you can write, you can fix it up, depending on how you lean into it. If he was going to make it more interesting, I was okay, but I don't believe in retconning anything. So even if we move forward from here, I'd rather someone come in, start something new, and just move on. Yeah.
And Paul Richards is saying something I remember I was thinking ages ago, which is the Doctor used to say you can't mess with time. And of course, we've got this time window where we're going to mess with time all the time. I mean, it's because it's now a game, Paul. As you know, he doesn't want it to make sense. He just wants it to look good and be nice. Well, we'll soon find out whether she's coming back or not. Oh, God. Caroline Ford was seen at the studio when season 2 was being filmed, says Malcolm, the spy. Well, I forget you on the show. Remember, I showed you the contacts. Come on. A lot of people saying bring back Michael Grade. What, to axe the show? Is that your master plan? Everybody's pretty down, really. Could she be the master? I thought the master was a tooth. I don't know. I don't want the master back because the master's been deliberately, literally diminished. I thought they ruined the master partly in the movie because he was just ashes, and then a snake for some reason, and then And then to actually diminish him, I mean, Planet of Fire when they shrank him, and then to diminish him again into a gold tooth. Where's the threat on that? You've ruined him. Ruined him. You've also made him a madman from The Sound of Drums, and I think that was disgraceful to make a cunning, calculating, clever character into just somebody who's a bit mad.
Yeah, I wasn't. That was one thing. I like John Simmers, the master, but I didn't like the way that they'd made him just, unstable.
Yeah.
In terms of just irrationally unstable. I thought that wasn't the master.
But have you noticed, Cybermat, the more we talk about this, the pattern is this, that the showrunners nowadays like anything unstable. What we get is unstable acting. The shooty doctor is either shouting or crying. It's that kind of unstable characterization. Look at the master as played by Sacha Darwin. Mad. Absolutely mad. What happened to subtlety? Do we not have subtlety in 2024? Frank Einstein, the timeless child concept is so stupid that I wouldn't be surprised if RTD decides to make every Time Lord manifestation of the Doctor. And just to kind of wrap things up, here's a question for the Thread and Cybermat. And it's a genius idea. No, it's not a genius idea. It's a sneaky plan. Right, here's my picture again to beg for 1,000 subscribers. We're nearly there. But it's the picture. I'm being naughty. The picture was, when he brought life back, death plus death equals life. The Sutek ripping up the curtains of the universe. I didn't know it had curtains, but there you go. I thought he'd pee on the curtains. I wasn't sure he'd rip them. He's an untrained dog. I tell you, he's terrible.
Naughty Sutek. Naughty.
Yeah, very naughty Sutek. You can, when you get a puppy and it wheezes on the curtains. Well, yeah he's ripped. So my question is, there are theories out there that this is another genius done in a second RTD master plan where him ripping up the universe and bringing it all back means that Flux is solved and the timeless child will be solved. That basically this just heals everything.
I don't know what to say. I don't know how you can bring Timeless Child to a satisfying conclusion in any way, shape, or form.
I agree with Steve. We should rub Sutek's nose into the time vortex.
Yes.
Very, very bad dog. Oh, to make Sutek a dog is just beyond. I know we had the iconography, but oh, for God's sake, he's now a joke. If you mention to any Doctor Who fan Sutek, they would have to now have different sentences. They would have to say joke.
I honestly feel I wish someone. Look, I feel so bad that they pulled Gabriel Wolf into it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want his performance to be criticized because he did a great job. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just, oh man, of all the things you could do with off the back of Pyramids, that's what you took from it. That's so disappointing.
Well, you can see below there, Thinkin has a theory. A synonym for flood is flux. Could it very possibly be? What Mrs. Flood is the flux. I mean, are we? Oh, God. Oh, I know. So, Broken TARDIS, the War Chief was the master originally, but then they made him the master's buddy in crime. So, there is a theory that we could have the War Chief back. Frank Einstein, how did Sutek go to the toilet while he was attached to the TARDIS?
He went to the TARDIS.
How did he grow? Because he was just a bod, and then he grabbed the TARDIS, and then he grew. Grew? Why? How? What?
Like when he said, I've had this idea that he's been there the whole time since I was 15. I was thinking, well, that's dumb.
Now, David Harding, you see, this is it. You see, this is it. We're trying to solve it. It's a bit like the Salvage Show again. Susan could be the timeless child. That's why the Doctor took her away from Gallifrey. She was the child. Do you know, David? I would buy that because it would solve the timeless child not being the Doctor. I would buy that, and I would laminate that and bubble wrap it, and because Cyberman,
I'm up for that, and I'm up for that. Or the Master. It could have been anyone but the Doctor.
yes,
Yeah.
but because we haven't brought Susan back, although I don't want to ruin Susan, though, this is the trouble.
Yeah.
But she was an unearthly child, and if there is a genius to this, and he says Mrs. Flood is a ride of a lifetime, there's something up here. Everybody's still laughing about. You see, everybody's still laughing about Sutek.
Yeah, but Brendan, he called the punchline for the tagline for this season was "Ride of the Lifetime," and was it
Cosmic Joyride?
Yeah, Cosmic Joyride. You know, oh, geez, mate, if that's your idea of a joyride, I want to get off.
Well, we've had a joyride. Our detox hour has been nearly 2 hours, and we've kept everybody with us talking and everything. I hope while you've been talking, you've been subbing, because I tell you what, it's like I feel as though my subs growth is in the last week has been like, in the war games in episode 10, and they're wading through the treacle to get to the TARDIS. Or since we did Rory's of the Deep last night, they're talking as slowly. My sub growth is as slow as, when the Silurian said, "Are they ready? Yes, Tarpok. Excellent." I thought, oh my God, you're dragging this out. Oh, wait, let's have some zip. So
excellent.
Excellent. Oh, it's so twee when Cybermen, Silurians, everything's excellent. I can't see me in the lesson going, "Have you finished your essay?" And the kids go, "Yes." And I go, "Excellent." I mean, who talks like this?
I must admit, that's one of the things I love of Attack of the Cybermen. They bring Michael Kilgareth back, and basically all his lines are, the whole thing's falling apart. His plans are just completely shit, and the whole way through he's like, "Excellent, this is excellent. Oh, everyone's dying. Excellent. The time machine's been captured. Excellent."
Well, yeah, you could have RTD now. We are going to do it. I've got my puppy here who plays RTD, and we are going to have RTD in the hot seat. And as he plays RTD, typing away with all these genius ideas, everything he does is excellent. I've got this idea for UNIT being a hub. Excellent. I've got this excellent idea that the TARDIS is going to fly like a space shuttle in Enterprise. Excellent. Oh, everything's excellent, because he's that type of lovey. Everything's excellent. I'm just saying thank you, Talons and Wayne Cheyenne, for subbing. You'll go to top of my Christmas list.
Give him a sub, guys. Give him a sub, guys. Yeah, Brendan's been working his butt off.
You know how RTD works, so he doesn't buy you Christmas presents or do Moonpig. What he does is he does something nice. So what I'll do, therefore, is Talons away in Cheyenne, is I won't get you any present for subbing or anything. What I'll do is say, "Do you want to come on the show for a minute?" And that'll be me being nice. There you go. I'm being RTD now. This is it. I'm turning into him. This is it. Don't have to spend any money. Excellent.
Newton jammed a screwdriver in my arm. Excellent.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow. Excellent. Doctor, it doesn't make sense.
Shot me with a Caesar. Excellent.
How did he grab the TARDIS when he was never in the time? I know, Sutek. This is our Doctor Who detox. I think we need a Sutek detox. He was in a corridor between Egypt and the what's that? The Doctor just used a dimension. Yeah, Malcolm, trying to make sense of this nonsense is. The cosmic joyride.
But they had a perfect plot device with the time window to have the Doctor release Sutek. Like, he could have escaped through the time window. You didn't need to have that whole crap of him sitting on the TARDIS all this time.
Yeah. Now, you see, this is where this detox works. Sometimes I think I don't need to bring up topics because we go with it. Frank Einstein, it would make more sense if the Master turned out, you said that, didn't you? Turned out to be the timeless child, because it would explain why he's so screwed up. Archibald Lazarus, anyone should be the timeless child rather than the Doctor. And of course,
agree.
Archibald. JC Marshall thinks this has been a lovely detox. We've probably depressed you even more.
I feel like we're just detoxing now.
Yeah, I'm still detoxing. I'm
might
desubbing.
have to come back and do it again.
Oh, well, hope you're all right, Paul. Look, write to us on the thing. We'll get you on. I love to hear people's ideas. And I love our stream to actually say, look, never mind in the thread, you send a line or two and I try and notice it and put it up, because a lot of streams do that. If you write to me with an idea, I can cut and paste it and actually give you pride of place, like I did some of those on the Salvaging show. I think that's what it's all about, really. Rob Fellows, watching subs grow is like downloading with a dial-up modem. Oh, tell me about it. My God. That midweek show yesterday, I put on stream to be streamed 8 hours before it actually appeared on YouTube. It was supposed to go on in the morning, but it was so slow uploading yesterday what was going on in the world. David Banks to give a special assembly in his Cyberman voice. I should have done that.
Excellent.
Now I'm not a teacher. I have used Doctor Who in my assemblies. You won't be surprised to hear. Talons of Wayne Cheyenne. I'm surprised having Disparu on didn't get you over. Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to think, Talons. I mean, it was great that he noticed us. It was great that he gave me a shout out. And it was fantastic that he came on. Hopefully I can get him on in a few months' time, because he was great. He's value for money, great wit. Obviously, I've seen his streams, as in, well edited and God, way beyond my expertise. But oh yeah, I couldn't believe it that he spotted us. Subs wise, I don't know. I've forgotten about bothering, really. Heather, I'm just voting to retcon the Timeless Child and the whole current season. I'm just done thinking it's real. Chris says he subbed way back. Can you do 2 subs? Can you get your granny to do it? I don't know. I shouldn't be obsessed with this. Broken TARDIS has subbed. Oh, I think we're going to.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm not going to obsess about the subs. It's funny. You see the subs go up and then they go down. I'm going, did I offend somebody? What happened? I think it's a puppet Cyberman. Divine and Dragon, just picture if RTD himself showed up on the show. Oh, you mean go very meta? Oh, you mean on this show? Oh, well. We have RTD on our show. Here he is. Hello. Hello, lovely. I love it when I make him type fast and say he's got another idea. I
must admit, I wonder what would happen if we ever got on a stream with RTD for real. I must admit, I think I'd be I don't know. Would you have the stomach to say what you really think?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm brave or anything. It would catch me out. It would make me go, oh my God. But then I have to say, no, I'm an honest bloke. I think we all are, really. I don't like being rude. So
that's the thing. It's not I think we're all genuine in our feelings and what we think and what we want. But at the same time, I don't think it's in our nature to just be horrible to someone.
No, if he was in front of me, I think it changes the dynamic. I'd go into teacher mode and be trying to flavor it in a very constructive way, but still the criticisms in behind it. I can't do it. I mean, I've done assemblies on honesty, saying to the kids, honesty is one of the worst traits to have. Everybody tells you to be honest, but you lose friends, you don't get jobs. Honesty is never, you don't get promotion. Honesty is never, it doesn't work. I know everybody says it does. No, it doesn't. And if RTD was on our show, I would be honest but constructive and how I said it, but he'll never talk to us again. Of course, as well, because I wouldn't be a lovey. That's why. Do you know what? They don't want us to go. They've come up with so many great comments. I don't think anyone wants us to go. Heather, I'm going to pour myself a cup of coffee. I think I earned it with this detox. We all have. Let's treat ourselves, everyone. Cup of coffee.
Thanks, Heather.
Yes, as you can see, I'm always doing that. These regenerate these. I've got loads of them. Thanks for joining us. Hartnell's Ghost, hello, good to see you. RTD would want to block the comments. Well, there's rumours that they do that already, aren't there? Sir X-Man says, I would not be afraid to ask RTD the hard questions. I don't hold back hard questions when I'm on YouTube. Yeah, it's just how we do it, isn't it? It's just when I'm in front of, I've faced kids when their essays are rubbish. And you know, there's ways of talking it. And I have to be honest, I'm not one of those people who would shoot at him in front of me. I would have to tailor it, but you would still get the point.
Yeah.
Cheers, gents, says Talons. Only came in for the last hour, so going to watch the first hour now. Really enjoyed these detox streams while I've been on my holidays. Thank you. Thank you. Chris, random note. Katie Manning is heading to Tassie in September. Yes, some Aussie news. And remember, I want this to be more kind of Australian news, American news. This is our detox because, you know, my other streams seem to hit the time zones for Europe a bit better. So I do want this one to be, there's the Sydney Rough Diamond. I wondered where you were. I wouldn't even acknowledge him, let alone talk to him. He's been a troll to fans for years. I'd be intrigued if he would answer my questions, though. I'd be very intrigued. But there's rumours that Bad Wolf have teams who are watching some streams. I don't think they'd go down to my level. But, you know, Disparu found us, so, hey, there's hope. So, X-Man, I always ask questions respectfully. Yeah, not questioning that at all. Right, everybody. I'll bang my mic now.
Brendan, maybe if RTD's watching, you know, he could throw us a bone and you and I could help him write an episode or two, get things back on track. You know?
I've got an idea.
Get the Divining Dragon in.
I've got an idea for an unknown doctor. I've got an idea that there's a special window that you can go through and you're in another universe. Because I was watching Has Take on Me the other day, and I've seen it done. Would be a very clever idea to have. Didn't the Phantom Toll Booth and all them do exactly the same thing? Just have a portal, or you had the time tunnel in the 60s. It's been done. Or was it Stargate? It's been. I find it. Don't overuse a concept, please. I like Doctor Who to be a bit cleverer than that. Doctor Who was always a bit cleverer.
There's a lot of intelligent stuff. I mean, yeah, there's so much like in this. Just plugging this again. In the Android invasion, there's just so many nice little details that of world building, the way things get put together and assembled. And I still love when Milton Johns discovers that Crayford discovers he's missing his eye.
Well, I think Heather's calling me out slightly here. Do we really have to behave, Teacher Brendan? If RTD comes into class, do we need to mind our manners? Really? I suppose it's how I've invited him into my class. I mean, is he coming in as a special guest? And all the kids have got their questions ready. And of course, you can't actually sense. You might have checked them, but they all chuck in other ones. You know, like in every school, you had a VIP coming in, and you have to ask them questions. We used to have them. You know them amateur actors who come in and they do Macbeth in like 50 seconds. You know, and you pay a bomb, and the kids love it because they're in the hall. And then at the end, they say, "Right, any questions?" And I used to dread that as a teacher because the kids would say, "Have you got a boyfriend?" And they would always ask these, you know. We've just done Macbeth. We've exhausted ourselves, and we know you're doing your GCSEs. So, any questions? Have you always had your hairdo like that? You know, and I just think, oh no, don't ask the kids for spontaneous questions. So, actually, Heather, I would shut down the stream because it would. No, I'm joking. Broken TARDIS. Have you ever talked about David Burton, the guy who claimed to be the 8th Doctor and even had a car with the new Doctor? No, I haven't. Broken TARDIS. What have I? Have I been in an alternative universe? Have you heard that, Cyberman?
I don't. I'm interested. Broken TARDIS. I don't know what that's referring to.
Write to me. So X-Man, this doctor made me go back and watch my episodes of Tom Baker to make myself feel better. I know. Well, you've got Android Invasion. We, at the moment, in our house, what are we watching? Oh, God, isn't that terrible? We started watching The Stones of Blood. Just because I wanted one of those. I love that. Is it Beatrix? What's her name? Beatrix Lehman?
What?
She was lovely, wasn't she?
Beatrix Lehman.
Yeah, Tom Baker loved her, didn't he? And Doctor Who in the 70s always had some of those old eccentric actors. You know, like in Seeds of Doom, you had that lady with the eyes who was the artist.
Yes. The lady in Image of Fendal.
Yeah. Frank Einstein, were you guys aware that JMS put his name forward as a replacement showrunner? Yes. Was he too American? Was he too not Fitzroy Tavern? Yeah, I know.
That's Michael is Straczynski.
Yeah. And
What was he? What was he again? Was that Babylon 5?
I think it's one of those. I know I'm not an expert, but what I will agree with is we needed fresh blood. It's so obvious now we needed fresh blood who would be respectful. And JC Marshall is part of my advertising team, it sounds like. Looking forward to the Malcolm Hulk stream. RTD should take a few pointers from such an esteemed writer of true Doctor Who. And I didn't know how the biographer would go on this, but the biographer is not happy just as a person about the disrespect for some of the classic writers in what is being done. So I will make sure our questions, because if you've got a question, there's still time to write to me and I can put the question to the biographer. And the book, I think, will be out in the next year with Telos Productions. So X-Man, I have to be honest, I'm black. And the only thing that I'm upset about is that they're made of... No, that is the point. Jodie Whittaker was the first female doctor, whether you liked it or not. They needed to make her the most memorable. So X-Man, I totally agree with you. If you're going to do this, you've got to respect. I mean, they're so bothered about inclusion and everything. They're very sensitive to it. So therefore, aren't they sensitive to the fact that this first black actor to play the Doctor needs to have a strong character, needs to be extremely distinctive, not a laughing stock. I totally 100% agree with you, Sir X-Man. They've ballsed it up, not Ncuti, to be honest. Eastland Burkholder, RTD is scooped up and the panelists wear Time Lord robes and capes and shoulder gear and interrogate the cap. Oh, yeah. Should we do a skit on this where he's interrogated? I can be RTD. I can do it. He'll be there. Anyway, that puppet, off you go. Sadmat strikes, Jim. I'll kill him. Right, everybody. We've talked and talked and talked. And there'll be a saloon tomorrow. And the Malcolm Hulk the show was going to be roughly on the Sunday, but obviously there's the England match and chaos and family, so I'll have to see when we can do that. But thank you for joining us, everybody. I've really enjoyed it. I do like these detoxes. I don't know why, they're just different. And so thank you, Cybermat, for joining us. And we'll see you all again, maybe next Thursday. Bring your coffee, as Heather says. Bye for now, everyone.
Cheers.